What's up, YouTube? On this episode of Coddiwomple Overland, we're going to finish our Wyoming trip in the Medicine Bow National Forest.
We don't need a destination, let's go where the river's taking us.
On the last episode, we met back up with Misty, Matt, and Dawn. We spent quite a bit of time at camp this morning just being lazy before we got back on the trail. We hadn't done any pre-planning at all around Medicine Bow, so today we were just kind of wandering around to see what we could find.
So Mr. Burlingame knows it was different.
Look, Aspen. Hi, buddy.
One of the first things we found was this beautiful stream and decided it was the perfect place to top off our water. The Guzzle H2O really makes it handy to be able to get filtered water pretty much anywhere you can find a source. After filling up with water, it was time to see what else we could find. One of the things that we really noticed was if you wasn't on a wide open Forest Service road and got into these, there were a lot of pine trees that were down, and they were seemingly almost just cut wide enough for a side-by-side. The good side was occasionally you would pop out in these beautiful open prairies, and then occasionally you would find some old homesteads like this. It was really cool to walk around these old cabins and think about what it would have been like to live in this area over 100 years ago. After spending some time at the old cabin, it was time to continue moving on to see what else we could find. As it got later in the afternoon, we stumbled across this female moose and her calf. They were just kind of hiding in the edge of the trees. It was pretty cool to see.
I don't see the baby. It's in the tree line.
As we were intently watching these two, we looked over our shoulder and realized that this big bull was right behind us. We didn't stay too long because we were right between the two. We made it to camp a little bit later the night before and just really didn't shoot a whole lot of video. But this morning we got up, started fixing breakfast, and just really relaxing and enjoying camp this morning. Today was a day that we really weren't looking forward to. It was the day that Matt and Dawn was going to say their final goodbye and make their way on back to North Carolina. We really enjoyed having them with us on this trip. Since we got into camp late the night before, we didn't pay for our site. We were at a BLM campground, so we paid this morning before we left. This morning was spent making our way from the western side of the Medicine Bow National Forest, eventually to the eastern side of the forest. And this was going to be because we were going to be meeting some special friends there to have another camp out before we made our way back home the next day. We'd seen quite a bit of wildlife throughout Wyoming, but we had not seen a lot of deer, and these were actually pretty big compared to some that we had had back in Kentucky.
Yeah, me too.
Even on day 24 or 25 or whatever it was of this trip, we would still find monuments like this just out in the middle of nowhere. It was really neat to see the history. We made it back to Blacktop to get fuel and also to meet Artie and Stacy from Xpedition Trailers. They had made the trip from Salt Lake City to eastern Wyoming just to be able to ride with us for a day and camp out for the evening. The area we decided to explore with them was the Laramie Ranger District of the Medicine Bow National Forest. We'd spent all afternoon exploring this area of the Medicine Bow National Forest, but now it's time to set up camp and enjoy each other's company and get to know our new friends a lot better.
No pressure.
No.
We're all following you.
Drawer that pulls out, and then I use a little jet boil. But we have a Scott always.
Shrimp krill on the menu tonight?
Yes.
For our last night in Wyoming, we had an incredible sunset, spectacular views, and even better conversation with our friends around camp.
It kind of fits.
The next morning, we spent a lot of time around camp. We were really dreading the day because we knew this was the end of the trip and we were going to be heading back home. But we did take the time to sit down and do an interview along with Artie and Stacy. You can see that whole video on their YouTube channel, Xpedition Trailers. After packing up camp, we were off to the land of hidden treasures. So we've spent the last 2 days of our 24-day trip here in Wyoming with the owners and creators of the Xpedition Voyager trailer. And it's been a tremendous treat to have you guys here for the last 2 days. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate you guys taking the time and coming out and spending a little bit of time with us.
Yeah.
The trailer that you guys have created is unbelievable. And anybody that is even thinking about looking for a trailer, look up Xpedition Voyagers. This thing is absolutely second to none. We have taken it all over the country, in Wyoming, taken it across some of the most farthest out and more difficult trails that Wyoming had to offer. And it never balked the first time. Give them a look, XpeditionTrailers.com.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
We
thanks
really
so
enjoyed
much.
this also.
We really enjoyed our time with Stacy and Artie, but the whole group that went with us is really what made this trip what it was. These are some of the best friends that a person could ever have, and they've made memories with us to last a lifetime.